Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Real Human. This is Irina, your host at Healnlearn and the Grownlearn Podcast. And today I'm going to continue the series that we started last week, and hopefully I'll get to speak every week about an aspect of human skills and abilities and of human nature that is going to bring us hopefully closer to what we really are. I often talk about some aspects of the human skills and abilities in my courses based on the Silver method, the Intuition Reset 21 course, and the Healnlearn method, and the one that is upcoming with Krasia Tasio, Healing and Diagnosing with Astrology and the Healnlearn method. So do check these out. I'll put the links below. And today I got inspired to talk about biology and how truthfully biology describes us as humans. And I got inspired to talk about biology because every time I open my own videos on the Healnlearn channel, I get an ad about a book called The Human Condition by Australian biologist Jeremy Griffith. And I got curious because they relate the content of this author to the Healnlearn channel. So I thought, okay, let's check him out. And the theory is worth looking at. For me, it's quite funny, but I would not. I would rather draw my conclusions at the end. Right now, I'd just like to tell you what this whole human condition is about. And first of all, to begin with, I mean, when we call something a condition, it means that something is wrong with you or terribly wrong with you. And I don't think there's per se anything wrong with humans. I'll explain later why, but I remember when I was pregnant and I laughed a lot when another pregnant lady said, I don't have a condition, I'm just pregnant, it's not a disease. Anyhow, so solving the human condition. So according to this biologist, the human condition leads to psychological upset. And this leads to human behavior, such as people being egocentric, arrogant, inspired, depressed, deluded, pessimistic, optimistic, artificial, hateful, cynical, mean, sadistic, immoral, brilliant, guilt-ridden, evil, psychotic, neurotic, and alienated. And he said that all of this is hiding in the conscious mind of humans, and he gives some definitions from the thesaurus and whatever, the official thesaurus. So it's a different question what really consciousness is, but let's talk about it in a bit. I'll first tell you his story. So he says, we've been blamed as humans as being, all of these negative qualities and of ruining the planet and of being cruel to each other, being egocentric and so on, as if we're inborn, as if these qualities were our genetic inheritance from us trying to survive. So basically the evolutionary theory of Darwin that, the best in the species survive. And yet there is a certain clash, and even Darwin admits it, that people have cooperative, selfless, and loving moral instincts, which doesn't fit very well to the theory of Darwin. And moreover, the animal that, according to him, is closest in genes to humans is this one, the Bonobo Ape. Up here, they claim that it has close to 99% identical genes as the humans, which still doesn't mean a lot. A few percentages can be huge. And even our genes are not everything that we are. So according to be able to explain what Jeremy Griffith states, I'll have to tell you the example that he gives as well, to be visual enough. So he says, imagine a flock of storks migrating from Africa to Europe, just like they do every year. And they all fly together, following their instincts. At some point, the stork Adam decides to or gets consciousness, becomes conscious, and sees an island. And he decides to stop there for a rest. Because according to Jeremy Griffith, I'm sorry, I'll have to quote this because it's I am not a biologist, so I don't use this terminology regularly. But he says that there's a difference between gene-based and nerve-based learning systems. And the genes orientate, but nerves need to understand. So what he means is that the genes are responsible for the instincts and the nerves are responsible for understanding, which he calls consciousness, which I don't think is consciousness at all. Understanding doesn't equal consciousness. Or do you think so? So anyhow, let me finish the story, then we'll go back to that. So Adam realizes at some point that he has desires. He wants to stay at this island, but his instincts say you have to follow the flock of the other storks and you cannot deviate. And there's a clash between his instincts and his understanding, which is his conscious mind. And this clash, according to biologist Jeremy Griffith, is responsible for the human condition. And he says, the moment you understand that, the human condition is solved. So consider yourself having solved the human condition right now. There's not going to be any egocentric people anymore, any people that feel alienated, no arrogance, no psychotic behaviors. How does this sound to you? Realistic? Gosh, sometimes I'm even surprised by the bullshit that keeps being put up. So I have a few quite significant issues with this approach to human behavior, human psychology, and what makes us human. It's not our understanding or wanting to understand. There's much more than that, because consciousness, let's start with the consciousness. First of all, let's take another science. Although for me, sciences are just partial, or they're like boxed views, only one perspective to the holistic view of us humans. You can't see a human through one specific science. But even if we take physics, physicists now admit that the universe is way too intelligent for it to have existed without a conscious mind, without an intelligent mind, without God. So even they say God exists, right? So there we have the clash of one proven science, biology, and another one that is universally accepted, physics. And this reminds me a lot about an instance that I had when I was a few years ago. I had one ex-boyfriend and a boyfriend meet at that time. One of them was a physicist and the other one a philosopher. So at the end, they ended up fighting. What is more important? What is the science that explains it all? What is the science that is first? And I'm sure that you've had teachers at school that also claim that their subject is the most important one. But in the end, all of it is just a partial view. It's just one look at at something, at a flower. When you look at it from a different perspective, it looks different. So, okay, this whole thing doesn't explain the consciousness that God is. It doesn't explain premonitions. It doesn't explain dreams, because premonitions that you have or intuition is not the same as instinct. Instinct is something that helps you survive, but sometimes you have intuition that you shouldn't travel, or these are premonitions, or intuition that somebody would call you, or that you should apply for a certain job and not for another. These are not instincts. And this is not understanding. So this can't be explained by the consciousness either. So there are a few things that cannot be explained by this simple biology, psychology, ridden theory. All right, so we have God that is not explained by that. We have the feeling of love that is not explained by that. I mean, if love is explained simply by continuation of the species, how are then how is then long distance love explained when it's not, it's not immediately available, you're not continuing the species immediately, and yet there's long distance love. Also the case of twin flames. I've had a few people already, 3 cases when people have been telling me about twin flames, and it's not the most logical and the most practical thing to do, and yet people are sticking for that. And and even how do you explain visions about past lives? Because people have been telling me that they have been regressed or have seen visions of past lives with these people, with these twin flames. So is this biology? How does biology explain all of these phenomena? All right. So the other thing is intention and human will. If we assume that what Jeremy Griffith here says about the stork Adam having suddenly consciousness, and we equate it to human will, then there's somehow a disparity as well, because human will override the instincts. So the Adam stork will not have clashes and hence develop all these negative traits, the psychosis that Jeremy Griffith says. On the contrary, actually, not having and not realizing human will develops traits of psychosis and of what he calls psychologically upset mind. All right. The human will, I wanted to tell you, I'm looking at my notes here, what I wanted to tell you also. The human will, I'm sure that you've heard about women that lift up cars and trucks when their child is endangered, stuck under the truck, and stories like that. And also, I may have told you before, but if I haven't, I'm going to repeat it again. There's this guy, Wim Hof, the Iceman, that made an experiment with a few of his students. They were injected some virus, and they actually managed to expel this virus within 24 hours with the breathing technique that Wim Hof uses. So this is an example of human will. Even if you're faced with an adverse situation of whatever sort, human will overcomes it. Understanding simply won't overcome it, right? So I've got nothing more to say on solving the human condition, apart from the fact that for me, this is, I don't even know why they put this content out there, just to say suddenly you're not bad anymore. Suddenly you were like the monkey, what was it called? The monkeys that I showed you, the bonobo monkeys, because they're very loving. So instinctively we're very loving, but suddenly consciousness came and we became psychologically disturbed. So we need to understand that now, and we'll solve everything. I mean, what a lot of crap. And most of all, I think if we dig deeper, the case here is not, I mean, why is this content being put up is the question that all of us should ask. Just to prevent people from taking any action, to be more accepting of certain situations, but also it tells you you're good. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to change. You don't need to take action. Right? You only need to understand. You don't need to take action. There's no human will there involved in the whole situation that we're in. And it also eliminates the responsibilities of certain structures that are being placed on top of us and are dictating to a large extent our negative responses. All of this that was described here, all of these negative psychological conditions, guilt-ridden, brilliant, sadistic, mean. I mean, most of the psychological issues people have are anyhow triggered externally. And if they're triggered internally, there's a result of a past life or something like that. But usually they reside in childhood and are triggered by a very strong external pressure. So innately, yes, we're good. But all of these conditions that we have nothing to do with our consciousness. Yeah, they have to do with external events and very often external structures. So if you are, let me see, competitive, neurotic, alienated, to a large extent, this is also driven by the structures that dictate a certain human organization. So, you know, you can take responsibility in terms of your free will, but not responsibility for all the negative traits and the psychosis that you're fighting with, because this is your response to what is being imposed on you that is not naturally human. Thank you very much. I hope I was somewhat clear. And in any case, you can watch the video. The guy's name is biologist Jeremy Griffith. It's an interesting point of view for someone who likes to dig into biology and such stuff. For me, it was just an exploration of what do they really want to say. All right, thanks so much. If you haven't subscribed yet, do subscribe. Check out the courses on Heal and Learn. Next weekend, we have the course with Krasia Tasio. Again, healing and diagnosing with astrology and the Heal and Learn method. It's going to be really interesting, so do join us. Thank you very much for your attention.